Jaume MUNAR explodes against Carlos Alcaraz and analyzes his rivalry with Sinner. Jaume MUNAR, Spanish tennis player, celebrates the rivalry between Alcaraz and Sinner. They are two great players with different styles. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner have become the new rivalry in tennis. The heirs to the big three formed by Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafa Nadal. The Serbian is still active, but struggling against the youth and boldness of the two new jewels of tennis. Spanish tennis player Jaume MUNAR, speaking to Eurosport, says it is a joy for Spanish tennis that right after Rafa Nadal, Carlos Alcaraz has arrived. It doesn't surprise me that another champion has come out of Spanish tennis after Rafa Nadal, but it is curious that we have a guy who aspires to everything. Still keeping the distance with Rafa. Once again, we have a candidate in every Grand Slam. For the people it is apotheosic. It doesn't surprise me because in Spain we have many tools to build very good players. We have tradition, good coaches, says MUNAR. About Jannik Sinner, he breaks down their differences. I love their rivalry. Carlos is very entertaining to watch, he enjoys what he does and he transmits that. On the other side you have another player with a different energy. He wants to improve and chase Carlos. He is a calmer guy, sometimes he looks ice cold. We have that clash of personalities. They are two great players with different styles. I think both have accepted that role and have absolute respect for each other, MUNAR points out. MUNAR surrenders to Alcaraz and his battle with Sinner on Eurosport. I see Carlos a step ahead. Jaume MUNAR spoke exclusively to Eurosport where he addressed various topics in a wide-ranging interview, highlighting his view of the rivalry between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. The Balearic tennis player, who is recovering from an arm injury, explained that he sees Carlos a step ahead, although both have absolute respect for each other, which makes the battle even more attractive. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner open up about one of their most intimate connections. The relationship between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner continues to generate more buzz than any other topic in the tennis world right now. On the occasion of the exhibition in Korea that marked the latest match between the two best players in the world, the Spaniard and the Italian gave an interview in which they answered, and joked about, one of their most intimate connections, how they saved each other's numbers in their phones. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner maintain an impeccable relationship off the court as well. They keep proving it with gestures such as sharing a plane to travel to Melbourne in order to compete in the Australian Open, which you are watching on Eurosport and HBO Max. They also don't hesitate to show how well they get along when they do interviews together. In one of their latest joint appearances, taking advantage of their presence in Korea for the recent exhibition in which Carlitos defeated the Italian, both were able to open up, and burst out laughing, about one of the most personal bonds that exists, their phone numbers. Sinner and Alcaraz had to answer questions contained in sticky notes attached to a board. The player from San Condito decided they would answer the following: "What name do you have the other saved under in your phones?" Carlitos responded without hesitation. For me, it's Jannik Sinner," the man from Murcia said plainly, breaking into laughter and prompting everyone present to do the same. His biggest rival then went a bit off script. "And I saved him because he changed his number, so I have him as Carlos Alcaraz knew," said Sinner, provoking another round of general laughter. "Very old school," the Italian concluded. "I thought you were going to say Carlos Alcaraz too. I usually save people who change numbers a lot as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Carlitos then commented. "New. Always new," Sinner added to close the funny moment between the ATP World number 1 and number 2. Alcaraz announces his biggest change within the professional tour. After the ban in Melbourne, the men's circuit authorizes performance devices on court. The technology could be used in Indian Wells. Doubts flooded both social media and the circuit itself when, in the middle of the Australian Open, the world number 1 was asked to remove his Whoop bracelet before the start of his round of 16 match against Tommy Paul. A decision that, although not to the Merchant's liking, did not destabilize him enough to prevent his victory, 7-6, 6-4, 7-5. The hypotheses were varied, from fears of communication with the betting sector, to technological doping or improper technical measurements, all of this combined with the lack of certification of certain products. In Hoop's case, far from dramatizing the situation after finding itself in the media spotlight, they took advantage of the controversy to carry out a publicity maneuver. They sent smart technical apparel to figures such as Sinner, Sabalenka and Alcaraz himself so they could continue measuring their data. After analyzing the situation and once the controversy cooled down, the men's circuit has made its position official through a statement. The board has approved a rule that expands the range of permitted wearable device providers and authorizes their use on court by players in ATP competitions. Thus, the reigning Australian Open champion will be able to continue setting trends with devices that, from now on, are no longer part of the list of prohibited accessories. What changes with the rule implemented by the ATP? The devices, usually monitoring bracelets, record heart rate, workload, recovery and sleep quality. This information not only helps the player's physical team but also feeds analysis that optimizes planning. The ATP justified the change due to the rise of data analysis in elite sports. The new regulation will apply immediately, and the first tournament in which these monitoring bracelets can be seen will be the Indian Wells Masters 1000. The measure aims to regulate their use and expand the range of authorized providers, thus limiting disputes between referees and technical teams before matches. The initial controversy, however, had an unexpected effect. It increased hoops' visibility. Its founder, Will Ahmed, came out in defense of the device and stated, "It is approved by the International Tennis Federation and poses no safety risk. Let athletes measure their bodies. Data is not steroids." The authorization of monitoring bracelets closes one discussion about technology on court and opens another, how to manage information without altering competitive equality. For the ATP, it is about adapting the regulations to tools that are already part of preparation and that, moreover, bring a more professional and scientific framework to the tour. How much money would Carlos Alcaraz pocket if he lifts the title in Indian Wells? The ATP has made public the prize money for the Indian Wells tournament, the first Masters 1000 of the season. The best players in the world will once again gather in Indian Wells from March 4 to 15. The facilities of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden will host, as usual, the first Masters 1000 of the season, a tournament that players adore and that all the great legends of this sport have won at some point. Federer, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2012 and 2017, and Djokovic, 2008, 2011, 2014, 2015 and 2016, have won it 5 times each. Rafa Nadal has 3 titles in the Californian desert, 2007, 2009 and 2013, and Jimmy Connors and Michael Chang also won it in 3 editions. Carlos Alcaraz has already triumphed in 2 years at Indian Wells, 2023 and 2024, appearing on the list of players with 2 titles, alongside tennis greats such as Jim Courier, Boris Becker, Lleyton Hewitt or Pete Sampras. The current champion and defending title holder is the Briton Jack Draper, who defeated Alcaraz last year in the semi-finals. And as in every ATP tournament, there will also be substantial prize money for all players. Carlos Alcaraz, champion this year of the Australian Open and the ATP 500 in Doha, leads the earnings this season with more than $3 million, specifically a total of $3,301,730. The Mercian, in tremendous form, will seek in Indian Wells his 3rd title of the year and continue adding money to his bank account. The ATP has already made public the prize money for Indian Wells 2026 and the winner will take home $1,151,380. The finalist will pocket $612,340, while the semi-finalists will earn $340,190. Reaching the quarterfinals will bring a prize of $193,645. The remaining prizes will be distributed as follows. 4th round, $105,720. 3rd round, $61,865. 2nd round, $36,110. 1st round, $24,335.